Hello guys, good morning and welcome back. Alright, so in today's video, I want to show us how to sew an English trouser using another method in fixing your pocket. Now, the reason I am making this video is for us to see different ways we can do this. So here is my front panel and my pocketing. I did not slash or slant the pocketing. I just faced it this way and then threaded in this angular form, right? Though after which I have sewn that, I will say cut it off. Then the reason for this is to make sure you get a balanced sewing. Then you also notch the lining point, raise it up this way, and then you still cut it out. So this can still be folded inside, right? But then I cut it off from here, and then I make sure I fold it backwards this way, and after which I now top stitch from the machine footer. Then making sure as well that this line you're sewing now must be straight enough, right? Must be straight enough. So once you're done doing that, now you also cut your threads, and then after which you now top stitch your um, inner parts of the pocket, the top stitch here. Now, the reason I did not fold it is because it has the English mouth. If it was a rough edge, I would have folded it or weaved it as you can see. Then cut your threads accordingly. And after this, you now bring your pocket facing and fix from the opposite direction. Make sure that the pocket facing is properly placed where it should be. And then use your hand to fold from the downside. You fold gently from there. You fold, and then once you have folded, you now start from there and sew. You start from there and sew. Make sure as you are sewing, you're folding it gradually, right? You must fold it gradually. You sew all through to this very point, and make sure that your folding is smooth as well. And then after that, you cut your threads off as well. Then you bring the other edge this way, and then lock from the under, right? See how I pull it backwards? So push it all through this way. You curve it to your desired choice. So stop from there, and then give it a notch there, and then do your trimming. And do your trimming all through that way. After which, you now tuck it in. You tuck it in, arrange it properly this way. Make sure that the edges are coming out nicely. Then you top stitch the tip. So this is another method of fixing your front pocket on your English trouser. So I will do this on another pocket, and then I will come back to continue the sewing. So now you place it back this way. You lock from there. Just stitch it a bit this way. Cut your threads, then trim off any excesses, and then you lock the upside. At this point, you make sure you measure. So you're going to measure 2.5 or 2.75, however. Then once you measure, you lock from the up. That way. Lock it all through this way. Then you now trim off the excesses at the up area. You trim off the excesses. Make sure the trimming is coming in line with the height of the trouser length. So trim off exact all through, and you're done with this. So I will do the next one and come back to show the results. So now the next thing to do now is to fix my lining. So remember, I have shown you how to put the pockets Now the lining, I've also shown us how to cut the lining in my previous videos. Now the thing you need to do here is to make sure that you cut the lining to be a bit excess from the original trouser measurement. The reason for this is to make sure that you pleat it this way, just the way I'm pleating. So you pleat this way. Now this pleating is going to help you to have a relaxing trouser effect. So your pleating must come at the midpoint of your trouser, right? Now the excess of the lining cutting can be 3 inches or 2 inches depending on how you want it to be. So after the pleating, you now join the lining as shown. So this is one of the simplest ways again you can approach your English trouser sewing. So when doing this, once you are done with the lining, the next thing you are going to do now is to put the zip. So I'll also show you guys how to put the zip. I have put the lining on the both panels, and then the next thing to do is to trim off any excesses if there is any. And then you now start fixing your zip. So make sure that you're top stitching the lining at the tip all right round, but please don't stitch across the laps. Don't stitch across the lap, just stitch at the edge for the west side, the sides, the curvy area, and the inner leg. So stitch 0.3 or 0.2 where you know will be enough when you are locking the trouser, and it will cover or close properly as well. So I will show you guys this next now how to put the zip. To put the back dart, so you need to measure from the straight line 5 inches in, 5.5 inch in, then notch at that point. Now that notching is to indicate or help you know where your dart will be, and make sure that when notching, the right sides are facing each other. The right sides must mirror each other, right? Then once you notch in that form, you arrange your lining in this way, your main trouser bodies in this way, and then make sure that the folding is straight and will be straight enough. And then so you make sure you arrange it properly this way. And once it's fully arranged, so the next thing to do is to get it at that particular position where your that length or depth is. So the that depth I use here is 3.5. So stitch in that form, and then the that leg is half an inch, right? So just stitch in this form. So then cut your threads and make sure that the dart is not curvy. There shouldn't be any curvy line. It should be a slashed line from that point to the dart depth. So once you are done doing this, so the next to do as well is to do the other dart. So I will also do it and then show you the next step to follow. Next thing to do here is to cut cloth gum, paper gum, then 8 inches width, and then you bring your trouser lining. Sorry, you bring your main material, the main trouser, the back panel, that place that you have done your darting. You sprinkle water on it, you drop enough water there, you iron the darts. Now this ironing will help you to achieve a perfect finishing, and you use your copper or your cold iron and cool it off after you have ironed properly, so that it will retain the heat. Now these tools you are seeing me using are very important, and the steps I'm taking as well as is also very important. Then the next thing to do here is to gum that part, right? So gumming, the width of the gum can be 2.53 inches, the length of 7 inches or 8, depending on how wide you want it to be. And then gum it properly. So you also gum both the right and the left as well. So you also do the same thing on the other panel as well. Also iron out, and then you gum accordingly. So take your time, watch the video to the end, and make sure you give me a thumbs up if you are finding value in this video, or if you are learning very well. Give me a thumbs up. This is the only way you can encourage me to be making more videos. When I see enough likes, thumbs up, comments, and shares, I'll be encouraged to make and create new videos for you to understand how to make male clothing very well. Alright, so now trying to remark the 3.5 inch for the dart ending. Then from there, the pocket width I am using for him is 5 inches. So you place the tape at the center of the dart point. You mark 5 inches across this way. Then bring a ruler or anything that can give you a straight line. and then join the line as shown. Join it all through that way. Make sure that the line is straight enough. Then extend the line at the edge, mark it to come out properly, and then you now do the same thing on the other panel as well. Now please make sure you follow the steps and don't jump any protocol so that you don't have issues, because if you follow my steps you must arrive at the same and better result than mine. So just mark the dart depth and then mark 5 inches width. This is the standard measurement for pocket depth, except on some cases where you have a bigger person, you can make it to be 5.5, or for children you can make it to be 4 inches, 4.5, depends on the age of the child. So you extend the lines as shown. Make sure you follow the steps and then mark out the line, mark out the lines, and then go to the machine to fix your pocket. Alright guys, so now I want to show you guys how to achieve a nice welt pocket. Now I will iron out these edges properly, right? I'll iron the edges properly so it will not be this a bit rough. So look at how beautiful my welt pocket is. So let's get down to the process. Now the first thing to do here is you have already marked out your line, and then you place your lining behind. You place your lining behind 1 inch below the main trouser. Then place it down this way. Make sure it's properly placed. Then pin your needle from one edge. Then run a thread on that line just to hold the pocketing behind. Then cut off your threads that way, and then you bring your plackets. Which you have already gummed. So I gummed them together. I'm slitting the midpoint, slit in that form. Then the next thing to do here is to place it at that point where you mark your chalk, and then you make sure it's aligning at that edge. Then start from that same point your chalking is. Then place your machine footer 3/4 inch or 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch below the line, and then stitch it straight. Stitch it all through. Right? Make sure you stitch the beginning properly and the ending properly. So once you are done stitching both ends, cut your threads as shown, and then you also do the same thing on the upside. You also place the placket at the up section. Place it at the upside that way, and then you stitch as well 1/4 of an inch. So make sure that the both lines are starting from the same point, please, very important. So in your own case, you can use chalk to mark it out. So make sure that the lines started from the same point, and then stitch all along that way. See how straight my lines are, right? So make sure as well it ends at that same position as well. So once you are done doing that, you cut your threads, as well. And then the next thing to do here now is to fold the material in this form, and then notch the midpoint, notch it all through, notch everything, and then place it this way, and then make sure that when you are slitting it, you fold the placket to come up, then give it a V-notch there, give it a V-notch there, give it a V-notch in that form. You also shift the other placket, also give it a V-notch. The V-notch must end at that same point where your threading ended, right? It must end there. So once you are done doing that, you also cut the other side, raise it up again this way, and then also give it a V-notch to make sure as well it's ending the same position where the thread ended. Do the same thing on the other side, and you are good to go. Please, this notching is very important, so you need to take it seriously and be careful while doing this. Don't exceed or don't stop before. It must stop at exact point. Then push up the up placket inside, push it in this way. So once you push it in this way, then you make sure it's properly tucked in, and then you start folding this to the size of the opening. fold in this form, then tuck it in, tuck it in, tuck it in this way. Make sure it's properly tucked in, and your folding must align with the size of your pocket, right? Then hold the angular form, the angular folding there. Make sure it's arranged properly. Then hold the angular folding at that edge, and then you thread it very well. Please thread only the angle with the plackets, don't thread with the lining. Thread with the angle point, stitch very well. This will help you to secure the edges of your pockets. You can cut off some excesses at that point, that way. So once you're done with that, look at how beautiful the edge is looking, right? So you also do the same thing on the other edge. Tuck it in nicely as well, and hold the angular points, and then you synchronize it. So make sure it's lapping properly, and then you stitch the tip of the angle, right? Stitch it all through. So once you're done doing that, the next thing to do is to cut off the excesses here, and then this is how it looks like. Then raise the placket up this way, then stitch the tongue like marking here, that up allowance that you slated for. So stitch it from here through to the end, and also do the same thing at the down side. Cut your threads as well, then lock the pocketing, then fold the plackets, on top of the pocketing, making sure that it's lapping properly as well. So once you stitch to the very end, this is what you will see. And then you also make sure you cut your threads, then you fold the plackets to come up, the up plackets, fold it to come up to this other edge. You will hold it at that point, cut your threads, and this is what it looks like. So after which you bring the other pocket in, place it 1 inch or 2 inches above the trouser length, this way, 1 inch above the trouser length. Then hold it properly this way, and then you are going to stitch at the edge where your pocket opening ended. Then raise it up properly this way. So stitch all through to this very end. Stitch, just give it a U stitch in order to lock the upside of the pocket. Cut your threads, then after which you tuck in the lining in this way, hold it in this way, then you make sure when you're stitching, reaching the edge where the line is, you pause and then fold it as well. So the top stitching will now lock the pocketing, right? So make sure this is how we do yours. What I've showed you in other video I did. So the reason I am showing this is for you to have a vast knowledge on English trouser making, so that you'll not have issues when making yours. So anyone you deem fit or you find interesting, you can use the same method or the method and make your own. Then when ending there, also fold the edge to go in. The folding should be half an inch. Please don't fold more than half an inch, so that you don't reduce the size of the pocketing. Then stitch all along to the very end. So this is how you will do your pocketing, and make sure you follow the steps and don't be in a haste, like I do always say. So after this now, you are good to go. You will now lock the upside and do your trimmings, and then start fixing the zip for the front panel, which I will do and show you the results. Then you lock the upside as well. You lock the up area. So once you lock the up area now, the next to do is to cut off the excesses, right? So you cut off the excesses. This is how it looks like. So I will do the next video on how to fix a zip and also show you as well. Now, when we want to start fixing our zip, so I got my flap. Alright, so you bring your plackets, you place your zip at this point. Please watch how I am stitching. Then place your zip this way, then stitch all along that direction, and then after which cut your threads, then cut exact length with the zip in a straight line. So once you are done with this, you keep it aside. Then you bring the left panel, and the left panel of the trouser. Join the both sides together. So once you join the lines, your stitching must be half of an inch from the width line. Bear in mind that you have width your trouser after dipping your pockets, right? So you stitch half an inch all across. Make sure that your line is cutting across the point where your pocket depth ended. Then stitch all along that way. Stitch all along that way. Gently and carefully do this. Stitch all along. Stitch all along that way. Stitch all along. Then hold the ending part of the trouser and make sure it's lapping properly as well. And then stitch to the very end. So after this, you also do the other one as well. Then you now go and do opening pressing. After opening pressing, we'll come back to continue our trouser sewing. So I will stitch the other side of the trouser before continuing with the zip fixing.